Thanks to the support as a channel member, Igor Freitas. Having already played and thumped both Roma and Inter domestically so far this season, I think it's pretty clear. We've already got Serie A wrapped up again. We're going to go invincible in that. The focus now is winning this Champions League before we head back to England. We've got a tough North London task today as we face Arsenal, and then an easy game against Spurs. So we play both of those. We're going to get a good idea of where we stand, I think, today. Hello and welcome to Club 5, part 20 of Non-League to Legend. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we have those two big Champions League away trips to North London. We're away against former club Spurs. Then we've got a couple of off-camera domestic games before we head to Arsenal for the other big away trip to North London. We may as well have just stayed in London. It seems silly to keep going there and coming back. Silly old domestic football. Talking of silly old domestic football, we've played a lot of it since you were last with me, and we've won all of it. In fact, my word, we haven't even conceded a goal. Oh, we have. We've conceded one goal in the league so far this season. There must have been another Football Manager update because Roma have gone back to being Capitolini. So we need to fix that again. Although, weirdly, Napoli are still Napoli. So, did Napoli get their name back in the new update? I don't understand. But there we are. Six games played, 6 wins. Sotalo is top scorer in the league with 4 goals. Set pieces have been quite effective. Lazrak is right up there with him as well. I mean, you can see we've got a nice mix of our players towards the top of... I didn't realise Sotalo was doing quite as well as he is, but Marvin Benoit has really settled in quite nicely as our goalkeeper. Only conceded the 1 goal so far, 5 clean sheets in 6 games. That'll do nicely. Let's head to Spurs. This is the team that we're going to be sending there. It is Benoit in goal, a back four of Mendes, former Spurs man Valente, Taglioli and Agostini, Boatini at the base of the midfield, Veloso dos Santos and Gervasio ahead of him with Lazrak on the left, Bilger on the right, Vlahovic up front. This is pretty close to my best 11, I think. There's maybe a question mark over right centre-back, whether it's Taglioli, whether it's Sotalo. There's maybe a question mark over the Mezzala. It could be Gervasio. It could be Gratakos. But I think they're probably the only question marks. This is the best 11, I think, currently. Mansour and Amgar might both have something to say about left-back as well. But you know what? We've got good strength in depth, and I'm very comfortable with it. Let's see what's going on at Tottenham. It's been a little while now since I left Spurs. Last time we checked in with them, Ismail Sen was on the transfer list. He is still their captain, though, so presumably that all got resolved. They've got Sen and Reyes up front, which, of course, we never got to see when we were at Spurs because we signed Reyes the summer that we left. Phil Brindley, who has gone on to become one of the best wingers in the world. I would love to have him in at left-back. And, of course, a few more of our boys in there as well, the likes of Bazunu, Posselt, I signed as well. Looking down at the bench, I mean, there's a few more familiar names down there. So not so many as you would expect, actually. There's been a significant rebuild, I think, since I was there. Since I was there. Phil Brindley's playing left wing-back as part of a flat-back 6. It's good to see that virtual Spurs are just as boring as real-life Spurs. Makes me very happy. That little brief moment when we made it interesting and accidentally won them a Champions League, they've gone right back to form. And fair enough. I mean, look at the state of that as a back 6. Hideous. How Valente wasn't a regular starter for them when they played 6 centre-backs, I do not know. Right, Boatini playing it forward, looking for Mendes. Doesn't find him, and it's back with one of the many, many, many Spurs defenders who were on the pitch, and they try and get something moving. Brindley, I think, is probably the danger man from deep. And, of course, we know both Reyes and Sen are absolutely full of goals on their day, and Taglioli and Valente are going to have their work cut out with help from Boatini and probably limited help from the 2 very attacking fullbacks. But our 3 of Taglioli, Valente and Boatini have got a job to do. And, of course, Vincent we signed just before we left as well. To be a striker, he must be playing in midfield today because I didn't even notice him before. He is playing central midfield. So all 3 of them are strikers that I would happily have on our bench here at Juventus. Obviously, they're not going to get in ahead of Vlahovic, but I would happily have them knocking around the place, any of those 3. So that's alarming. But It'll be fine. Let's beat them. I haven't actually looked how they've been getting on domestically. Oh, my word. Reyes has absolutely ruined Taglioli for pace there. That's one of the reasons we played Taglioli today, because Sotalo at 34, I'm just a little bit concerned that would happen to him. But now it's happened to Taglioli as well. I just think we maybe just need to go with the score more goals than Tottenham system, although we didn't expect them to play quite as negatively as they are, especially at home. A flat back six at home is pathetic. Agostini then plays it back to Taglioli, and now it's with Agostini again, and he gives it to Boatini, who in turn gives it back to him, and we're just looking to have somebody pick the lock here. Bilger is probably the man to do it if we can keep finding Bilger, and there is the pass. Oh, Posselt gets in there and intercepts before Vlahovic can get on the end of it. And now it's Reyes one-on-one once again with Taglioli, plays it square to Sem, who that's a rare piece of wastefulness from the Spurs captain. They've had a couple of good chances where Taglioli has struggled a couple of times already. I suspect he's not going to see out the game. We might well have Sotalo coming on fairly early in the second half just to see if that's a gap that can be plugged, because Reyes is looking like the danger man at the moment. And of course, Brindley's coming down that side as well. But all in all, we've survived the first half. We've not had a shot on target. Spurs have definitely had the better of the chances. But, you know, we've got Vlahovic and Bilger and the World Cup best player, Lazrak, as our front three. There's definitely goals in us if we can create a chance. But that's the thing we're not really doing as of yet. Veloso dos Santos gives it to Bilger, who can certainly hit a pass if he wants to. Instead, rolls it into the feet of Veloso dos Santos, who wasn't really ready for it. And now we've invited Brindley to run at us. I think Agostini gets a foot in there and Benoit collects comfortably. Right, let's just, take our time, pick our spot. Maybe out here on the left-hand side, there seems to be a lot of space out there. No, you're just going to lump it up towards Vlahovic, who doesn't win his header, but Gervasio does win the second ball, and now Lazrak plays Vlahovic in, and here's our first big chance of the game, and Bazunu is equal to it. And that was our first big opportunity, and now Vlahovic is taking a free kick as part of the very next highlight. That's where we would have loved to have Sotalo on the pitch, and it's Vlahovic with a header from the edge of the area. I don't know what's gone on there. Spurs have just absolutely gifted us a goal. It's such a weird... I need a replay. It's such a weird one. So it's the free kick from Vlahovic. It's headed clear comfortably. And then Vlahovic just heads it back in from outside the area. It goes over Bazunu. Nobody seems aware that he's having a go. And we're 1-0 up, completely against the run of play. And Spurs have now got it all to do. The silly gooses. Sen, Boatini looks to deal with him. Boatini's on a yellow card, which is a little bit worrying. I think we probably move Taglioli forward now and get Sotalo on. Just to protect the fact that we've got a key man on a yellow card. Let's get Sotalo on. Where is he? Taglioli can just slot into that position comfortably. And I think that's the only change we need to make for now. Just to hopefully see out this match. They've now taken off Sen, put Vincent up front with Reyes and pushed one of the midfielders forward. But it doesn't seem to have done anything so far, which is good to see. Right, we're going to take off Mendes as well. Mansoray can come on for him. Bilger's had a very quiet game, so Miguel Angel Ruiz can come on. Very different kind of player, less tricky, more about just getting the ball to the byline and getting the cross in. But there's Bilger, lays it into Lazrak, and Bilger has hesitated a little bit again there. He's not had the best of games today. He just needed to welly that, and I don't think Lazrak was expecting it. And now Reyes coming down this left-hand side, where it's not Brindley behind him now, which is interesting. Have they taken Brindley off? Which would be an interesting decision if they have, and that's another chance for Spurs that goes begging. They have been very poor in front of goal today. They have taken off Phil Brindley, which is a bit of a victory for Agostini, I think. But they are still a threat, and they just need to have someone who actually shoots towards the goal. Agostini's shattered, so Maggioni can come on for him. And we're going to bring on Owning in midfield. No, we're not. We're going to bring on Theory in midfield because we need a playmaker in there. I love having the variety of options from the bench. So Theory's going to come on and play in there with Taglioli protecting the back four. And we just need to not do anything dumb now. We're into the 90th minute. We've come to North London. We've come back to Spurs. Is this the first time back at the Tottenham Stadium since we won the Champions League? I think it might be. We've always won a lot here. Result. Now let's do the same thing against Arsenal, which is likely to be a slightly tougher task, but we're going to win the Champions League this year, and I would like to win the Champions League this year, we need to be able to beat all these silly Premier League teams. A couple more big wins in the league without conceding goals, because that's what we do now. 7-0 over Udinese, 3-0 over nearest rivals at the time, Napoli. We've now smashed back down to 6th place. We've now got 8 wins from 8, a goal difference of 33. We've still only conceded 1 goal in the league all season, and we're 8 points clear after 8 games. We're doing all right. Let's hope that form transfers over to the Champions League. In fact, shall we have a look to see where Arsenal are in the Premier League? Top of the Premier League, managed by Zinedine Zidane. Certainly a tougher task than Spurs, but only marginally. Spurs are only 1 point behind them. So hopefully we can head back to North London again and pick up another win. Not massive changes from the previous game against Tottenham. Sotalo is going to start. We're not going to experiment with Taglioli there again. I say experiment. He plays there on and off in the league, but I think in the Champions League, we'd probably go with our best back four, which I think is this, with Boatini in front. Veloso dos Santos and Gervasio is pretty much a settled midfield for us at the moment, and Fabris is going to come in on the left, allowing us to rest Lazrak, who's been playing constantly in the league. Interestingly, selection advice wants me to play Amgar up front, which I'm not doing yet, but I mean, I think we tried it in a previous episode, but it is interesting that that's the position he's being pushed in. I'm not going to do it because it seems like a crazy idea. But I mean, 10 of the 11 it agrees with. So, you know, maybe it, I don't know. Is Vlahovic past it? Should we play a left back up front instead of the man who, by the way, has just won a second successive Ballon d'Or? Should probably mention that. Second successive Ballon d'Or win for Dusan Vlahovic at 34 years old. He'd never been in the top 3 until last year. He's now won it twice in a row. Erling Haaland hasn't been anywhere near since then. So he's definitely the best striker in the world, best player in the world. And also, we've got the under-21 Ballon d'Or winner as well in the shape of Bilga, which I imagine we probably all could have guessed. So our front three now has Lazrak, who was World Cup best player, Vlahovic, who wasn't at the World Cup but is the Ballon d'Or holder, and Bilga, who got injured in the first group game at the World Cup and is the under-21 Ballon d'Or holder. That's quite a good front three. I know Italy isn't in the top 2 leagues, and I know Juventus don't have the best record when it comes to winning the Champions League, but surely this team, this attack more than anything, but this team surely is in with a big chance of picking up a Champions League win. I've got to believe this is a better side than either the Tottenham or the Barcelona teams that we have already won the Champions League with in this series. It feels like, especially in the front three, it's just such a good team. Really is a very good team. But we shall see. If we beat Arsenal, who are top of the Premier League, away from home, then I think we do start believing that this could be the year that we go and grab our 3rd Champions League with a 3rd different club in this series. Fabris on the left-hand side plays it back to Gervasio, who plays it in nicely back to Fabris, and there is Vlahovic. He's put it in the back of the net. The referee seems to be questioning the legitimacy of his goal. How dare he? That man is the current Ballon d'Or holder. Doesn't he know who he's dealing with? Clearly he does. Goal awarded. Arsenal 0, Juventus 1. And good work from all involved there. It was a lovely ball forward from Veloso dos Santos to Fabris. Good movement between him and Gervasio. And then Vlahovic, I mean, you put it in front of him just on the edge of the 6-yard box like that. He is scoring all day long. 1-0. And that'll do very nicely, please. Interesting, they've got Martinelli playing deep in midfield as a wide playmaker. That is an interesting choice from Arsenal. They've, of course, got Bacciarina in their midfield as well, who we sold to them for big money back in the summer. Agostini playing the ball across. It's a weird cross, but Boatini wins the header. And then Gervasio looked like he was brought down in the area. Nothing's been given. And the highlight continues. Sotalo giving it back to Agostini, who's got in behind his fullback again, plays it into Bilga, who took a heavy touch and has given the ball away there. Bilga's been a little bit off the pace in recent matches. He's done very well there, though. He just needs to square it. Instead, he's played it across to Fabris, who nods it back into Gervasio, and we can't quite apply the finish. Fabris back to Mendes now, and that was a good move, but there wasn't enough end product on it. And Bilga, I worry if Bilga needs a little bit of a rest. Maybe sit out for a few matches just to recharge himself. These last few big games, he has seemed half a yard off the pace. We saw it again there. He's just not quite as lethal as he was towards the end of last season, or even throughout last season. He just seems ever so slightly off the pace. So it might do him good just to sit out a few matches, or maybe even play a few matches up front. Let Vlahovic sit out a few matches and play Bilger as centre forward. Mendes, which we did do in Serie A, and I think you saw when I showed the schedule a minute ago, in that 7-0 win, Bilger played up front and got a hat-trick. So maybe it's time for him to play as a striker. Maybe his time out on the right wing is coming to an end, and Ruiz will need more of a run, or maybe Lazrak can go over there and keep Fabris in the team. Bilger with the in-swinger here, though, and it is Sotalo who hits the crossbar, and Gvardiol clears for Arsenal. Sotalo heads it back in, and Yeremy Pino with a diving header clearance, and it remains 1-0. Arsenal were stretched there. It feels like there's a second goal coming. Vlahovic is absolutely broken. We're going to bring on Bilger. You know what? We will try Amgar on this right-hand side. Why not? He should be able to play out there. Oh, you can't. No, we're going to have to play him up front. He's not even got one of the rubbish ratings out there. I forget what they're called. Ruiz needs to come on anyway. So Amgar is going to get a run up front. Agostini is going to come off for Maggioni. Maggioni's now made his debut for Italy, by the way. We've got a lot of tired legs out here today. We're making a lot of substitutions all in one go. So Boslai's fit again. He's been injured for ages. That's nice to see. And Taglioli is going to come on for the tiring Sotalo. 5 substitutions all in one go. And we are playing a left back up front. We've not got anyone on the pitch who I would consider an out-and-out striker. What have I've become one of those managers. We're just doing mad things because we can now, and it's probably going to backfire against one of the best teams in Europe. Boatini doing a decent job of intercepting, but then a poor job of clearing. And now Mendes against Pino, and Benoit's done brilliantly there. He's just made himself big. The shot goes into his chest, I think, and it's scrambled clear. We do not seem to be missing Seko at all. Marvin Benoit is looking like a very, very adequate replacement. And we have come to North London twice in one episode, and both times we're heading back to Turin with a 1-0 win. Vlahovic has bruised his knee as part of the process, but that is, it's everything we ever could have wanted. 2 away wins against 2 of the best teams in the Premier League. We are going to be continuing this theme in tomorrow's episode because we've got Manchester United and Manchester City both at home. 2 more wins there. We really do have to start believing that we could be winning the Champions League this year, because traditionally, if you're able to beating the Premier League teams, Preston got to the Champions League final. Oh my word, I didn't even notice that. He's never going to leave, is he? If they win the Champions League without me, that dream's done, isn't it? Please leave. Don't spoil my story. I've been building up to this for weeks. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.